Welcome to all of you. Let us begin a new topic today, that is sources, effects, and control of soil pollution. What do you mean by soil pollution? This is also called as land pollution. It refers to the degradation or contamination of the earth land surface due to the disposal of solid or liquid waste, chemicals, or other harmful substances, making the land unfit for cultivation, habitations, or ecological balance. So, what are the various sources of soil pollutions? What are the things which cause the soil pollutions or degradation of the land? So first we can go for the industrial sources. We can see the huge quantity of fly ash generated from the thermal power plants are dumped on the land, which may cause the land or soil pollutions. We can see that when the waste, here the example has been given for the fly ash generated from the thermal power plants, are kept on the land or wherever it is kept, definitely the land surface is going to be contaminated. The soil is going to be contaminated due to its dumping. The next is the mining activities. Mining, it produces the tailings, slag, and soil spoil heaps containing toxic metals. When stored on the land, damage the land or cause the soil pollution. Leachate from dumping sites pollute the soil. We can see in our country also, or at many places, the at some places gold mill tailings, for example, gold mill tailings have been dumped, or whatever the waste or the tailings are going to be produced by the mining activities. If it is dumped on the land, definitely it is not going to contaminate the land wherever it is dumped, but also it may contaminate or it can cause the air pollutions due to the wind erosion or water pollution in the form of a leaching or surface runoff. So chemicals and pesticide industries release harmful residues into the soil. Metals like lead, mercury, cadmium, and arsenic are released into the soil through industrial activities. These metals do not degrade over a time. It retains in the soil itself. That's why we can say it accumulates in the soil and posing long-term risk to human health and the environment. Nuclear test or medical waste release radioactive isotopes that persist in the soil or retain in the soil for centuries. So these industrial sources are also going to cause the soil pollution. The next sources we can see agriculture sources. Excessive use of chemical fertilizers, pesticide, herbicide, and insecticide contaminates the soil. Unsustainable farming practices, that means intensive cultivation, overgrazing, can deplete the natural nutrients of the soil, leaving it no longer viable for future crops unless it is restored. Pesticide used to protect crops from pests and weeds, as we know, it often contains toxic chemicals that persist in the soil long after applications. These chemicals can contaminate the soil, affect soil microorganisms which are needed for the soil, and enters the food chain. So the next source of the soil pollution is the urbanization and construction sources. Garbage, as you know, during the urbanization or the from the municipal sources, garbage, plastics, and municipal solid waste dumped in open areas pollute the soil. Sewage sludge and septic tank leakage introduce pathogens and heavy metals in the soil. Construction debris and electronic waste or e-waste add non-degradable materials in the soil. Dumping of batteries, paints, and medicine add heavy metals and toxins in the soil. Pathogens does not degrade and become brittle in due course. It affects the porosity of the soil after brittleness. So these are the urbanization and construction sources which are going to pollute the soil. The next we can see deforestation and soil erosion. Clearing of vegetation exposes soil to wind and water erosion, reducing fertilities. So loss of topsoil leads to land degradations. So what are the various effects of soil pollution? Let us see on the human health. Once soil is going to be polluted, what is happening? The pollutants which persist in the soil, such as heavy metals, pesticide, herbicides, can be absorbed by the crops, entering the human body through the food chain. Long-term exposure to this contamination can lead to serious health issues, including cancer, neurological disorders, and developmental problems in children. Farmers or waste management workers working with the polluted soil are at risk of direct exposure to the toxic substances because they they are working in the polluted soil itself, and they can face different type of diseases like skin diseases, respiratory problems, and other health complications while working in the polluted soil. The next effect on plants and animals. Toxic chemicals are absorbed by the plants, affect growth and yield because it is available in the soil. So it is going to damage the plants. Animal consuming contaminated plants suffer from bioaccumulations and biomagnification of toxins. We have already talked about what is bioaccumulations and biomagnification in the previous lectures. So it is also going to have a impact on soil health. Soil pollution is also going to have impact on the soil health. Polluted soil loses the ability to support the plant growth because it is already polluted by various means affecting crop yields, reducing soil fertilities. Chemical pollutants like pesticide, herbicide, and heavy metals interfere with the soil microbial community, which are needed for the nutrient recycles. So these pesticide or herbicides or heavy metals are going to damage the soil microbial community, which are the good microbial community needed for the soil. It is going to be damaged due to the soil pollution, organic matter decompositions, soil structure maintenance. These all things are going to be interfered. So polluted soil also experience a decline in physical properties such as water retention capacity may be disturbed, aeration may also be disturbed, and structure further it causes the land degradation or soil pollutions, or it will have an impact on the soil health. This, next we can see the effect of soil pollution on water bodies. Contaminants in the soil can leach into the groundwater during rainy season, leading to the contamination of drinking water because the groundwater supply we use for the drinking purpose. So people can suffer from the waterborne diseases if the soil is polluted. Various types of chemicals like acid, alkalis, pesticide, insecticide, weedicide, fungicide, heavy metals in the industrial discharge affect the soil fertility by causing changes in physical, chemical, and biological properties. So these are also going to damage the soil fertility, and the physical, chemical, and biological properties are also going to be changed. The other effect of the soil pollutions we can see radioactive fallout on vegetation enter the food chain in the grazing animals. Some of these radioisotopes replace essential elements in the body and cause abnormalities. For example, strontium-90 instead of calcium get deposited in the bones and tissues. The bones become brittle and prone to fractures due to the replacement of calcium by strontium-90. The next we can see nitrogen and phosphorus from the fertilizers in land reach nearby the water bodies with agriculture runoff and cause the eutrophications. Eutrophication also we have discussed in the previous lectures. What do you mean by eutrophication in details? So how we can control the soil pollution, or what are the control measures for soil pollution? The first one we can see proper waste management is needed. That means segregation of biodegradable materials, non-biodegradable, recyclable materials. For example, from the municipal solid waste also this work can be carried out. The municipal solid waste can be segregated in three parts. Recycling and reuse of materials can be carried out like paper, plastic, metals, and glass. Development of sanitary landfills instead of open dumping. That means open dumping should be avoided and sanitary landfills should be developed. Biodegradable organic waste can be used for the generation of biogas. Cattle dung should be used for methane gas generation. Night soil can also be used in the biogas plant to produce inflammable methane gas. The next treatment or next control measures we can adopt here, industrial waste treatment. That means industrial effluents and solid waste should be treated before disposal on the land. That means whenever whatever the waste are going to be generated from the industries, or either it may be liquid effluents or the solid waste, it should be discharged or disposed or kept on the land after treatment only. So we can adopt the zero liquid discharge. That means whatever the wastewater is going to be generated in the industry after treatment, it may be recycled. The waste to energy technologies. So non-biodegradable substances can be used for the energy generation. The next we control measures we can see here, agricultural measures. That means we can promote organic farming and biofertilizer instead of chemicals. Control use of pesticide and fertilizers. That means the awareness program should be carried out. Crop rotations and green manuring to maintain soil health. That can also help in the soil pollution control. Soil amendment should also be carried out. Adding organic materials like compost and biochar we can also use to polluted soil, which can improve its structure, increase nutrient content and supply microbial activities. So the next control measures we can see here, the legislation and public awareness can also help in the control of soil pollution. That means enforce solid waste management rules, hazardous waste regulations, e-waste rules. Many rules are already there that should be followed in a proper way. People should be educated to dispose the waste in a proper way, and the importance of reducing plastic use, that should also be explained among the people. Reforestation and afforestation. Planting trees and restoring native vegetation. Planting trees and restoring native vegetations help to stabilize the soil, reduce erosions, and restore soil fertilities. Reforestation and afforestation means reforestation is the process of replanting trees in the area where forests have been cut down or destroyed by human activities. Afforestation means we can go for the planting trees in the area where there was no previous forest cover available. The next treatment we can follow phytoremediation techniques for the control of the soil pollution. Certain plants can absorb and detoxify the pollutants from the soil. That process known as phytoremediation. For example, sunflowers can absorb heavy metals like lead and arsenic, helping to clean up the contaminated sites. So in these lectures, what we studied, what are the various sources of soil pollution, what are its effects, and how it can be controlled. That means how we can control the soil pollution. So this is all about the today lectures. Thank you.